Hello and welcome back to WC Marketplace. Today's video will be all about Booking Marketplace. If you're thinking of offering services or products that need to be pre-booked, then Bookable Product type is your go-to option. With the advanced front-end manager of WCMP, adding and managing a bookable product can be done easily in just a few steps. Before starting with the configuration, we need to keep in mind to install and activate the WooCommerce Bookable plugin. This is because WCMP provides you with the benefit of availing of this WooCommerce features to multiple vendors, which in turn assist you in creating a multi-vendor booking marketplace. At first, the admin needs to present vendor with the option of adding a bookable product from their dashboard. To do this, we shall be following the basic WCMP add product settings. That is, go to the WCMP menu option available on your admin dashboard. Select the setting option available once you click on WCMP. On the setting page, go to the Capabilities tab. Under the Capabilities tab, select the Bookable Product option available under the Product Type section. Select Save Changes to confirm all the settings. Now that you have enabled the vendors to upload bookable products, we will be going through the settings on the vendor's end. From the dashboard, go to Add Product page under the Product Manager and then follow a patent way of adding the product which we have been following for long. As always, add a product title, description and upload the image for the particular bookable product. Now to add product is already discussed in our product management video. Now let's jump to the main part of the video, the product type section. Here the vendor will have to select the product type as bookable product. Once selected, there will be a change in the general setting tab. Here the vendor will have to configure the duration and the time of the booking. Given below the details of the General tab. Booking Duration. The section lets the vendor set the period till which they want the booking to last. Booking duration can be set as per fixed block. Fixed blocks enable vendors to decide the duration till which they want the booking to be available. This way, customers can book the product only when it is available. For example, a vendor can only set an appointment for Wednesday. If he or she is booked for the first week of Wednesday, the customer has to wait for the next Wednesday before they set an appointment. Customer-defined blocks. With this option, vendors can let the customer decide when they want to book a product. Unlike the previous option, customer can book them according to their conveniences. For example, the co-working space is rented out in the early intervals, and the customer can define how many 1-hour block they would like to rent. Minimum duration. This refers to the last amount of time till which the customer can book a product. Maximum duration. Opposite of minimum duration, here the vendors can set the utmost amount of time till which the customer can book a product. Calendar display mode. This option lets vendor decide whether they want to let customer view the calendar or not. Two options available under these settings are display calendar on click. If this option is selected, customer can only view the calendar when they are about to book. Calendar always visible. By default, this option is automatically enabled. This allows the customer to view the calendar while pursuing the product. Enabling this option will mean that the customer booking has to be manually booked by the vendor after he or she confirms it with the customer. The customers, on the other hand, will only be able to view the check availability option until the vendor confirms the booking. Can be cancelled. When the vendor enables this option, it means that he or she has allowed customers to cancel their bookings. Once enabled, the vendor can decide on the date till which cancellation can be allowed. Cost tab. Setting a price for the booking product would be a bit different from setting a price for a simple product. Here you can add two separate pricing details. This following details include base price. A very simple description for a base price would be that it is the principal amount of a product. In other words, it is the basic amount a customer would have to pay if he or she wishes to avail for a product or services. Vendors can create a variation of. A block price can be charged for every block, segment, and time a customer wishes to purchase. A rudimentary example of block price can be if a customer wishes to book an hour for a spa service, the block price for that hour can be $10. If the customer wishes to book the services for 2 hours, the block price would be $10 for 1 hour and $10 for another hour, which equals to $20 for 2 hours. Display cost. This is the amount that would be visible to the customer. Set a price range. WCMP offers vendors an added option to set a variety of prices based on the time, date, persons, or block. To know how to create a range of prices, the vendor can select the Add Range option, visible under the Range Type block. Then the vendor needs to select the range type. The range type refers to the date range of the product. This means here the vendors can decide whether he or she wants the product to be available for a month, week, or even a specific day. In reference, you will be able to see the options available under the range type. Range. Under the range column, the vendor can manage the dates of his booking. Here, the vendor can add the to and the from date of availing the product. Arithmetic symbols. Before adding a range-based price, vendor will notice a field showcasing the plus, minus, multiplication and division symbols. Selecting the symbols will allow the range-based or block price to be added, subtracted, multiplied or divided from the original base or block price added by the vendor. Base price. Base price added in the range will either be added, subtracted, multiplied, divided or equaled to or from the original base price added by you. Given below are two examples that will help you understand the process. If the original price is 100 and the vendor selects the add sign and then adds an amount of 5, the total amount the customer has to pay would be 105. Block price. As explained above, the range block price can be added, subtracted, multiplied or divided from the original block price. Availability tab. Managing the availability tab of the product data meta box will help the vendor display to customers the availability of their services or product. To set up the availability of a product, the vendor has to set up maximum bookings per block. Maximum bookings per block gives vendor the chance to do multiple bookings at the same time. For example, if the vendor is hosting an online show, multiple customers would be able to book it at the same time if this option is enabled. Maximum or minimum blocks bookable. This refers to the highest or the lowest limit of the block a customer can book before the availability of the service. For example, if today is the 1st April and the minimum block bookable is set to a month in the future, then the first day on which a customer can book would be 1st May. Buffer period required between the bookings. Based on the time set for the booking, minimum, hourly or days, a period that is not available for others can be specified. For example, if the vendor wishes to sell appointments in 2 hours block and wants to have an hour break in between, you can specify a buffer period of your choice. Adjacent buffering. If you wish to add a buffer period both before and after your appointment, select the adjacent booking checkbox. All dates availability. This option helps you to set based on available by default. If the vendor selects available by default, it means all blocks are available and you can set rules and turn off certain blocks. Not available by default. Alternatively, if the vendor select not available by default, it will mean that blocks are not available and must be turned on through availability rules. Availability rules. Vendors can further customize their availability option by selecting their availability rules. These rules lets the vendor make their block either available or unavailable to the customers. The two options present under this section are all blocks being booked. This feature checks the blocks that are available for a particular duration. For example, if a customer books for 6 days and one block is equal to 1 day, then this feature will check the availability for all 6 days. The starting block. This feature will enable you to check the first block that the user selects. For example, if the customer chooses to book for 4 days and one block is equal to 1 day, this feature will check the availability for the first day only. First block starts at. For user who wishes to restrict the booking hour can set a time with this feature. Restrict selectable days. This option is to selected if the vendor wishes to not accept booking on certain days. Add range. As mentioned in the previous section, adding a range will provide more options to the vendors and the customers. Section available under this are range type. The range type settings for availability would be the same as the one for the cost tab. Range. The range lets the vendor select the onset and the end time of the bookable product. Bookable. The bookable option lets the vendor decide whether he or she wishes to accept the booking at a given time range or not. Priority. By adding a priority, the vendor can decide when a certain booking option can precede the other. For example, the vendor can add rules like on May Thursday and booking period is from 10 am to 10 pm. But there can also be an option whether on June Thursday the bookable timing is from 1 pm to 3 pm. So if the priority level of May Thursday is set as priority 1, it will take precedence over the June Thursday format, which would be set as priority level 2. Alternatively, when the month of the June arrives, the vendors can reverse the priority levels. Resource tab. Managing resources lets the vendor offer to his or her customers the option of extra amenities exclusively of the bookable product. These can include room type option like deluxe, suite, etc. Uses of pool or gym services, salon services and etc. Vendor can add resource for a bookable product simply by clicking on Has Resource option available under the product data meta box. To add a resource, the vendor has to add the following information. Label. In the label field, vendor can name the resource they wish to add. Resources are. This section lets the vendor decide how he wishes to manage the resources. Resources can be assigned based on customer selected. If this option is selected, customers can decide whether they wishes to opt for the resources or not. Automatically assigned. Some services can be automatically assigned to the customers depending on certain criteria. For example, if there is a room booking for 4 people, the customer would automatically be assigned a deluxe room instead of a regular room. Add link resources. This option will let the vendor add or create bookable product resources. Along with the vendor can also add the individual price of these resources. Person tab. As many of us knows, some bookings conventions like accommodations or movies. Bookings put out restriction in terms of people allowed to make a booking. This can be due to lack of space, lack of resources, or any such factors. But no matter the cause, WCMP offers vendors the option to set up booking per person. Vendors can add person for a bookable product simply by clicking on to the Has Persons option available under the product data meta box. Minimum or maximum person per booking. Depending on the space or resources, vendor can decide on the number of person they can accept per booking. One example of such booking can be that in a movie hall only a certain number of seats are available, and based on these seats only the amount of people can be accepted. So keeping those numbers in mind, vendors can decide on the minimum or a maximum number of people allowed to make a reservation. Multiple cost by person count. An interesting option that lets vendor charge booking fees based on people making a reservation as opposed to changing based on a block. This means instead of charging for say an hour, the vendor can simply charge on how many people want to reserve the service for the hour. Count person as bookings. As we have discussed before in the tutorial availability section, there is a maximum booking per block option available. If the vendor select the count person as a booking option, then each person would be counted as a booking until the maximum numbers added in the maximum booking per block section is reached. Enable person type. This option lets the vendor set the variation of price based on the person age, gender or even number. To add a person type option, the vendors can add in the following details. Person type name. In this field, the vendor can type in the name of the person. For example, child, adult or woman. Base price. This refers to the basic or the minimum cost of the booking. Block price. Block price is charged on the basis of every individual block. To get a better understanding, refer to the cost tab section of this video. Description. Vendors can specify the basic requirements of the person type in this field. As shown in the reference, the description of a child is under 10 years of age. Minimum and maximum. This field let the vendor add both the list and the most number of people they wished for the product. For example, on Women's Day, the vendor wishes to put on a sale on he or she can set up for the maximum number of women. Women being the person type here. Availing the product to be 20 versus men availing the product to be only 10. Manual bookings. Vendors can create bookings for their dashboard in place of the customer. These bookings are usually made when the vendor wishes for the customer to confirm a booking. To book a product from the vendor side, the vendor must go to the vendor dashboard and then select the booking menu. Once the booking menu list drops, the vendor can then select the Add Booking option. As soon as the Add Booking page opens, the vendors can add the customer's name in the customer field. Next, the vendor can select the bookable item which he or she wishes to reserve. Vendors can either create a new order for the product or link it with the order created by the customers. An alternate Do Not Create Order option is available. This option is selected by default, as most bookable products are generally booked by the customer. Vendor Booking Manager. Now that we have seen how vendors can add bookable products to the product list, isn't it obvious to learn how to manage them? Well, with the easy to follow instructions, vendor would learn how to manage multiple bookings in no time. Booking log. The booking log keeps track on all the vendors' booking for him or her. In addition to this, vendors can filter and view his or her bookings following the payment statuses or the bookable product name. The information displayed under this log is ID. The identification number present under the ID column can be used by the vendor to keep track of individual bookings. Booked product. The booked product section reflects the name of the bookable item. Of persons. In this case, a product is booked based on people. The vendor can view the number of people making the booking here. Booked by. This section of booking log displays the name of the person making the booking. Order. The order section showcases to the vendor the order number of the booking. This way, it gets easier for the vendor to keep account of all his or her orders. Start and the end date. These two columns shows the vendor the beginning and the ending dates of the booking period. Action. The action column will redirect the vendor to the page exhibiting the booking information. Booking details. The booking details page opens if the vendor selects View under the action column of the booking log. Here, the vendor would be able to view the basic information about the booking along with the customer details. Apart from viewing vital information, vendor can also manually change the booking payment statuses by selecting either unpaid, confirm, pending confirmation, paid, cancelled or complete option. Resource management. The resource management option lets the vendor view and track the resource created by him or her. Here the vendor can view both the name and the date on which the resource was booked. Booking planner or calendar. Just like a planner, vendor can view their booking on a calendar format. The booking planner also makes it easier for the vendor to see if he or she is booked on an hourly, daily, weekly or monthly basis. The vendor can also create a custom Google Calendar by going to the Google settings. There, they need to attach the client ID and the secret key. Lastly, under the Send Notification tab, you may send an email notification to all customers who have a future booking for a particular product. This will use the default template specified under the WooCommerce. The vendors can also customize it by adding the booking product and the booking objects. Under the message field, the vendor can attach the message that will be sent to the desired customer with the default templates. With this, we have come to the end of the tutorial. Hope the vendors find it easy to create multiple booking products. With this, we have come to the end of our video. If you like the tutorial, then do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. Click on the small red bell to get notified whenever we post a new video. And do not forget to check out the description box below for more useful links. Thank you for watching.